We're going to call to order the April 11th, 2023 Town Council meeting for the Town of Lake Clark Shores. Can I get a roll call, please?
President Pro Tem Gregory Freebold.
Here.
Councilmember Valtaine Rodriguez.
Here.
Councilmember Robert Gonzalez.
Here.
Carrie Ward. "61 years old. She was the Assistant Chief Sal Alberoscato's sister, again in early March. May their memories be eternal. Pastor, would you be so kind as to lead us in the invocation?
Tonight, and I pray to a God who's in heaven, powerful, who knows all things, who loves every one of us. Thank you, God. Ask, you shall receive. He said, you have not because you ask. What he said, if any man lack wisdom, when he asks from God, all things are ready, but greateth not. These men tonight ask wisdom from God as they make those great decisions tonight. Lord, I know their heartbeat. Everybody knows their heartbeat. The heartbeat is things that are good, they want to become better, and things that are become best. And Lord, we know that takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of skill, a lot of time, a lot of things done behind the scene. And these men do that. I thank you for them. God, I pray your blessing upon them. May you be pleased with all that's done. Lord, may we be reminded that unity is what. So Lord, we don't always have to have our own way. Lord, may we have a good meeting tonight. And if we disagree, may we. God, I pray you across their life. I thank you for their contribution to America. Country called America. Thank you for allowing us to live here in this area. You, Lord, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty.
Thank you, Pastor. That was beautiful. Well, everybody, tonight is my last council for the town, and I want to say a few words before I leave the dais. The last 6 years of serving on this council help our town accomplish many things, and thanks to the town staff, my fellow council members, and Dan Clark, we were able to do so. I'm incredibly grateful to my family, my kids Vivian and Oliver, and most of all, my wife Danielle. Without your constant support, none of this could have been possible. I have thoroughly enjoyed helping so many of our residents with their issues over them along the way. I leave the dais today knowing that I'm incredibly proud of all that we accomplished over that time. We improved safety and traffic measures throughout town, entered and negotiated multiple vendor agreements that either made the town money or saved the town hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. Added food trucks as a new community building event, improved our parks, accomplished greater than expected growth in our CRA corridor, and built up our reserves so we ensure that we remain financially healthy for years to come, just to name a few. I'm proud of the work that we accomplished up here, gentlemen, and I want to thank you all very much for your confidence in allowing me to serve as your vice mayor for 2 years and the last 2 years as your mayor. For all those who took time to speak with me during the campaign trail, I want to thank you. For those who welcomed me into your home just after a knock on the door, for those who allowed me to share in food or drink, Thank you. Words cannot truly capture how appreciative I am of those moments that we shared. Thank you also to the many who helped and supported my reelection campaign. I am proud of the campaign that we ran. We didn't spread misinformation. We didn't lie, spread fear, and smear campaigns. Thank you all for your commitment towards community and unity over division. I not only believe Lake Clark Shores is the gem of Palm Beach County, I know it is. And for the last 30 plus years, I have been a dedicated servant to this town. Continue our residents for years to come as a volunteer and community leader. Thank you all very much for allowing me to carry out our shared vision of this town. It has been an honor and a privilege of a lifetime.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Who is going to administer the oath of office to you?
Mr. Scheck,
You want
my
to,
assistant. So Mr. Scheck has graciously agreed to have the honors.
You stand on this side. Yep. And if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Gregory Freebold,
A citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America,
a citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America,
and being an officer of the town of Lake Clark Shores,
and being an officer of the town of Lake Clark Shores,
and a recipient of public funds as such officer,
and a recipient of public funds as such an officer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States
that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
I am duly qualified to hold office under that I will well and faithfully perform all of the duties
of the office of councilman of the town of Lake Clark Shores, Florida,
of the councilman of the town of Lake Clark Shores, Florida,
on which I am now about to enter, so help me God.
on which I am now about to enter, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Mr. Maples, welcome. And who's going to do the honors of swearing you in?
My beautiful wife Christy and my daughter Bella.
Beautiful. Please come up front.
Raise your right hand. I state your name,
I, John Maples,
a citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America,
a citizen of the state of Florida and the United States of America,
and being an officer of the town of Lake Clark Shores
and being an officer of the town of Lake Clark Shores,
and a recipient of public funds as such officer,
and a recipient of public funds as such officer,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support
do solemnly swear that I will support and protect
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and government of the United States
and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform all of the duties
and that I will well and faithfully perform all of the duties
of the office of councilman of the town of Lake Clark Shores, Florida,
of the office of councilman of the town of Lake Clark Shores, Florida,
on which I am now about to enter. So help me God.
on which I am now about to enter, so help me God.
Welcome.
I do want to say thank you to Paul for his service and everything that he's done for our town. And I'm hoping that moving forward, all of us can work together as a community, as residents, to make this town better. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, all of you.
I'll accept nominations for mayor, vice mayor, and president pro tem.
I will move that, who would want to be mayor this year? I'll move that we accept the slate of mayor for Greg Freebold, vice mayor Bob Shahoub, and myself as president pro tem.
Are there any other nominations?
I'll second your motion.
Any other nominations? Motion to declare the nominations closed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Freebold.
Thank you.
Right here.
Okay, let's see. Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Town of Lake Clark Shores Town Council meeting, April 11th, 2023. We look forward to seeing the nice full council chambers. I like it. It's great. If you don't talk to me, I don't know what you're thinking. Okay? So, motion. Yes.
Just a point here. I would like to take one.
Well, hold on. We need approval of the agenda first. Then we'll go to consent.
Second.
Okay? Good.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, now, do we have any revisions to the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I just didn't, wanted to make sure. I'd like to propose and I move that we remove sub E of the consent agenda for discussion purposes.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, okay, carries. Okay, so the consent agenda has been approved with the revision of removing E, the approval of resolution 2023-07 relating to the state revolving fund loan program, authorizing a loan application and designating authorized representatives. Okay, we have no presentations, no quasi judicial proceedings, public hearing, there is none, unfinished business, there is none. We will add E into the new business. So first is item A, approval of resolution 2023-06, expressing, appreciation to John Maples for his exemplary service as a member of the Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I think
We're not,
the attorney should provide some guidance on what Mr. Maples should be doing right now. He cannot vote on this himself, so most likely he needs to.
I will abstain from voting.
Charlie, we're good there. He can stay there. He just will not vote.
He may stay on the dais. He must abstain from voting and must abstain from any discussion regarding the agenda item.
I abstain from voting in any discussion on the agenda item.
Very good. Mary?
And we normally don't read resolutions, but that's okay. Expressing appreciation to John Maples for his exemplary service as a member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Second?
Well, I move to approve the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Second, got it. Any other discussion before we accept it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. John, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move to new business, which is from the consent agenda. Item E, approval of resolution 2023-07. Mary?
Approval of state revolving fund loan program, authorizing the loan application and designating authorized representatives.
Motion?
What is it for discussion?
Well, we'll do motion for discussion.
I move to approve that resolution.
Okay, second, Mr. Gonzalez, you've got the floor, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dan, could you please provide a little bit of guidance on this one, just so that we can understand it a little bit better?
Certainly. The purpose of this resolution is to support the loan application that we've made to DEP. If we're going to chase grant money, all grant money that we've seen come out of the state in the last 20 years requires a match. Typically, it's a 50-50 match. We don't have money in our reserves to do a match. So this loan is a match to any grant that we would get. We get the loan, we don't do anything. We get a grant and we need the money for a match.
So part of this is where we met with the gentleman, he was the DEP from the state of Florida, the head guy. Tell us a little bit more and tell the audience a little more about, it was the 4E program, yes?
Well, we applied. Takes us out of any ability currently to get grant money from DEP. Adam Blaylock, who's responsible for giving out all the money within DEP, has proposed legislation that will plug that catch-22 and put the 4E plan in with BMAPs and RAPs for funding. We don't have any money right now in the legislature. We were hoping for, and we still may get as they work the budget numbers, a sprinkle, as they call it, which will be maybe $1 million, maybe less.
Right.
But we're going to go after grants. That grant money. Have any expenses associated with having the loan unless we decide to draw upon it, and we wouldn't do that unless we
And
got.
remind everybody, how many grants have we applied for and been refused?
We've applied for a lot and we've been refused for 14.
Right. And so this legislation is actually going to be good for us.
Absolutely. Should plug the catch-22 we've been in.
Okay.
So thank you, Dan. I really appreciate it. Am I still able to discuss it? And I wanted to pull this for the sole purpose of highlighting all the work that you've done, behind the scenes, going to Tallahassee. I do want to mention that you did go to Tallahassee again for the second time to try to follow up on some of this and to meet with some of the representatives that we all met with about 45 days ago now. But this is going to be really, really important. And I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of what exactly this does and how this is very important to the town. This does not make anything final or concrete the way that I understand it, but this just gives us an opportunity to go out and really advocate for Lake Clark Shores, be in the best position to go and get that grant money should the time arise. This doesn't lock us into any positions. This does not solidify any particular decision for or against this project. So this just puts us in the position to be able to get all of that information. And when we do have the information, and it does come before this dais, we'll be able to make an informed decision. And that's really our fiduciary responsibility. So if it's all the same and no one else has any
Yeah,
discussion,
I have a few questions, Mr. Mayor, if I can direct those questions. Dan, a question for you. What's the maximum amount of the loan that you're asking for from DDP?
3.668 million.
That's the maximum amount of the loan that you're inquiring about?
Correct.
And then just so everyone here, if you're looking at the resolution, what does project number WW0110 mean?
Last August, we made a request of DEP to get on the list to be funded. That is the number that they gave us when they put us on that list. So we're referring to their number within DEP.
Okay. And what's the interest rate for the loan that we're inquiring about sending an application to DEP for?
That will be determined at the time we take the first draw, if we take a draw, but it will be somewhere in the 1.25% to 1.5% interest rate.
Okay. Is that locked in, guaranteed, or what? Because I mean, interest rates are rising currently with the Fed. So I'm just trying to figure out where we're going to fall from an interest rate standpoint.
This is not tied to any current index. It will not raise in the same fashion that home loan or automobile loan would raise. So I'm very comfortable that we will be in that range in the next 5 years.
What is it tied to?
I have no idea. I just know that I do know I calculated what the rate was going to be, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. And so we've looked at other options for funding this, such as a municipal bond. I did some research on what Miami did, and they did a muni bond, a revenue bond for their sewer septic deal in Miami. Is that still not an option? Did we got something in writing from the advisor saying that's not a good option for this town, the size of the project? What do we have as it relates for other funding options? Because I'm afraid that, we approve this. Yes, it allows us the opportunity to have matching funds in Tallahassee to get grant money, which is fantastic, which is definitely what we're trying to do long term. But I feel like we're going further down the road without really any feedback from the town and the residents per se. So I'm trying to make sure that we're making the right decision as a way to fund this deal, because I also don't want people getting liens on their house because they can't afford, based on the revolving debt that we end up taking from this loan and each resident's responsible for. So I just want to make sure we're covering all our bases on that.
Well, Mr. Maples, you're mixing apples and oranges, if I may say.
Okay.
This is not committing us to construction. This is allowing us to mark the box on a grant application that says we have matching funds.
Right.
That's all this is doing.
I understand.
You will not find cheaper money than this anywhere you go.
Okay.
We have an opinion from our financial advisor that says that.
Okay. Who was that? Your
published.
financial advisor, the advisor?
Larson Consulting Services.
Okay.
And that is actually on the website and has been posted up there for close to a year now, I would say.
Okay.
It compares bonds with loans with state revolving fund money.
Okay.
And state revolving fund money is by far the cheapest.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, everybody's good? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
No, you're opposed?
Yes.
Okay, carries 4-1.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. We are going to move on to audience comments. Do we have any emailed comments, Mr. Clark?
Only that the sound was intermittent when we got started. We think that issue's been resolved.
Okay, so anybody in the audience want to come, Grant, come on up.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a little slow. My name is Fran Carlton. I'm 8432 Waterway Drive. And I feel like I'm a little slow because I need Dan to be clearer for me. On this, whereas with project number WW01170, that project number is a state project number to get money. It's not a project that we're proposing doing.
Correct.
It's a number just to get money.
When we ask, it's a two-step process to get money out of the state under the SRF program. We have to create a plan. They have to accept the plan. That was done last year. Once they accept the plan, then they ask us how much we're looking for. We told them 3.66 million. They put a placeholder in their budget for the town of Lake Clark Shores for that 3.668 million. That number represents us in that placeholder. That's all that number is.
Okay. What plan did they approve that gave us a place in the placeholder?
The Micah West construction documents, the master plan.
Which is the Waterway Mediterranean sewer thing.
Correct.
So this, even though I keep seeing where it says utilities department and utility system and utilities, whatever, it really isn't for the utility system. It's for that water or that sewer project for that section. I mean, I realize that is a utility, but when I read this, I thought, okay, well, we have a utility system. It's way down south. And so this isn't necessarily going to bother me because it's not going to affect me with sewer, but it is going to affect me with sewer because that's the project that this project number of money thing is for.
If all of the other dominoes fall into place, then yes, it could affect you, but council has not made that decision.
Okay, I realize that. I'm not pushing ahead. I just want to know what the end result is. And the end result, because like I say, I'm reading and it says utility system. And I even spoke to Mr. Scheck and asking what this was, and utility system. Lake Clark Shores has a utility system that takes care of some other area that's not even in Lake Clark Shores, as well as the other stuff it does. So this nowhere directly refers to the Waterway Mediterranean Arabian project. But when I look at WW01170, that's what it means, even though that's just to get money.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm slow, but I catch up.
Got it. Thank you, Fran. Anybody else? Come right up.
Catherine Workman, 803.
Hello, Catherine.
Hello.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah. Pine Tree Lane. She was asked my question. So just to reiterate that is any money we get, the sewer loan, whatever, is not going to go into the general fund.
Can't.
Okay. I would like to revisit bonds. And me personally, I want bonds.
Okay.
Bonds will always stay with the property, whether you sell it or not. It's no money out of anybody's pocket. These people are on fixed incomes, not these, but there are people on fixed incomes. So you can do a bond just like many municipalities do.
Okay.
If sewers are being forced on us.
Nothing's being forced on you right now.
Well,
Well, that won't be by this council or this town. It'll be by the state and the DEP at the end of the day. That's how it'll work. And actually, they've said we've done too good of a job. That's why we don't qualify for stuff now. So
okay,
we'll see.
I'm just
We'll
saying.
we're happy to look into bonds. We're happy to
Well,
look
you
into
did,
best
but
bet.
you got to do it again.
Pardon me?
That's okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you again. Anybody else? Yes, come on up, Debbie.
Debbie Pesic, 7209 Clark Road. On April the 3rd, I sent an email to Laura Viga at the town hall. She gave me her card and said to send her the email and that she would forward along to our town manager and get back to me. I sent her the email today and I said, I haven't heard anything in a week. Can you tell me where this is going? And she said she hadn't heard back and that I was welcome to call the town manager. It's a really simple project. So as you know, I live right here adjacent to the town hall. And when I walk around the park, every area around the town hall and around all of the 6-foot fences around the town hall, all the hedges and all the landscaping, we're trying to get that to go to be 6 feet tall. But behind my yard, the hedge has been limited to 4 feet tall. So when the landscaper ran over a dog toy, it went through the police officer's back window. So that was resolved with the landscaping company. But if that hedge in my backyard could just be allowed to grow 2 more feet, that would give us a little more distance between the parking area and my backyard. And it doesn't cost anything to let it grow 2 more feet. And I couldn't see where that would incur any expense. So I had sent pictures along with the email, and I said, you know, if all of the rest of the park area is consistent with this landscaping, could we make it consistent between my house and the parking lot? And since I hadn't heard back from anybody, I wanted to make sure that you have that. I think that we're really good neighbors. We have a lot of people park in our yard, and my husband diligently fixes the sprinklers, and we don't complain about it. I think we're good neighbors, but I would just like a little bit more distance or a little bit more area between my house and the parking lot. And if you guys could let me know where you stand on that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
We can let that grow. I don't see that as a problem. We can tell them, cut back on the trimming, right?
We can.
That's an easy one. All right, we'll have staff get a hold of ABM and we'll get that going. Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir. Come on up. Pardon me? Yeah, come on up.
I'm here. Good evening. My name's George Shear. I'm at 1600 Barbados Road. I'm doing good. How are you? Congratulations on your
Thank you, sir.
appointment. Back in September, I came before the council and the town manager, and I complained about the noise emanating from the
Right.
parties from the.
You gave us all the thumb drives.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And I hope you all looked at them.
I did.
The last couple months, we've had a reoccurrence of some of that. And I'm having a hard time reconciling this. I've lived in this town off and on for 60 years, okay? Been a pretty good neighbor. I keep my property up, spent a ton of money on my backyard. So I'm probably one of the only few neighbors that will come up before you and say, hey, the base coming 300 feet away is bothersome. My wife and I like to sit out there, have a glass of wine, you know, but I got to compete with the music coming from here. It's 270 feet away, okay? Sure. So what I'm trying to also understand is that we have an agreement that the people sign that says no loud music allowed. And then we have a sign out there that says no loud noise. And then back in September, out of your graciousness, you passed an ordinance 2022-04. The ordinance says prohibiting loud, excessive, unnecessary, or unusual noise within the town parks. So if I'm at my house and I have to hear this music 6-7 hours a day on some of the weekends, I don't know if that's excessive in your opinion, but in mine that I have to compete with it, it is.
Well, the music on the thumb drive was pretty loud.
Yes, sir. I know it was. So the former mayor was very gracious. He came to my house on 2 occasions, okay? We sat down, we broke a little bread, we shot the breeze. And then as the afternoon progressed over about 45 minutes, he goes, this is getting louder. And I said, yes, Mr. Mayor, it is getting louder, you know, and this is the progression of it because there's alcohol being served and everybody's yucking it up. So then I brought him inside my house. Okay, we sat in my kitchen right over here. We looked at Barbados Road and we could hear the music in my house. There's occasions where I can sit in my house with the air conditioning on and I can hear thumping in my house. So I'm not here in an adversarial position with you guys. I'm asking you to please revisit prohibiting amplified music. The county does it. They have ordinances in place. They have a big legal system. I'm sure they'd be happy to share their ordinance with you. And somehow or another, prohibit the music from traveling a certain distance. The county does 50 feet. Listen, if they want to go 100 feet, I'm fine, but I'm at 270 feet and it's really too much.
Did you call the police department?
I have.
You have? Okay. Any
Mr.
resolution
Mayor,
through them?
yeah, but Mr. Mayor, why should I have to call the police department and go through
Well, because I'm not there to do it for you. Call me and I'll come over and we'll
Well, I do want somebody from the council to come to my house. I know Councilman Gonzalez is partial to DJs because he used to be one. And I
No,
really
no,
would
no.
like you, invite you.
I've always supported you. I've always had your
No,
back.
But I would love for you to come to my house. Out of town or something, but if you would come to my house and listen to this, and if you tell me I'm crazy, then, I'll back off and say, I won't come to any of these meetings and bother you anymore. But I don't understand how this can happen for the 15 or 20 people that it bothers. If any one of you or Town Manager Clark lived in my house, this would have stopped years ago. And I honestly believe that. I really do.
Okay.
Hey, George, real quick.
Thank
question.
you.
George, question for you. Do you have a decibel reader? Have you read the decibels for the noise? Do we have anything to try to capture it?
I don't have a decibel meter. The
I mean, the
police do, and they
police
come there and it never goes. There's bass. It's bass.
The problem with the decibel meter, even if you have it on the phone, if I may, the bass does carry. And those frequencies are just inevitable. So yeah, I understand. And we've been trying everything that we can to adjust the application to require these, because some of them are businesses that are operating there, to have insurance, to up the application fee, to up the liquidated damages fee or that rental fee. So you don't get the money back if they violate it. But we're trying and we're actively working with the town. It doesn't happen overnight. And I'm so sorry that you're dealing with it.
So do you believe that the county is out of, you think it's unreasonable for the county to prohibit amplified music? Or do you want these people that come from out, I'm assuming that most of the people that come here are not residents of Lake Clark Shores. So,
Well, I can't assume that because
Okay.
I'm sure it's both.
okay.
However, we as council members have no authority. If we're sitting at your house, come over here and shut them down. First of all, you should call the police department, even if it's every single time. I know it may seem frustrating, but we have no authority. And Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, it would not be advisable for a citizen to go over, especially if there's alcohol involved, to a loud atmosphere and try to force them to shut that down. Is that correct?
That'd be correct.
I mean, I know we can all carry guns now, but I don't think I could really shoot anybody unless they're going to hurt my wife.
Not yet. I think that's July.
So that's what we should do, correct? Just for the record.
No, I've talked to him quite a few times, and I've got a good relationship with them, and I'm very sympathetic with them because, as you know, we're in the middle of it, so we have to deal with the people that are paying the money and upset. But we have cited people, and we have shut down parties over there, and we have fined people. It starts out at 50, and then it jumps up where it goes to 150 or 250. But the bottom line is, if there was no amplified music, we wouldn't have any of these issues. And another thing you may want to address is alcohol, in the park, unless it's approved by the council for a special event or something.
Mr.
I
Mayor.
think in some places in the county, they make you get an alcohol permit if you're selling it. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you what, we have two more things that we need to get through as community builders. And I'll be happy to come over there and have a glass of wine with you. Your wife and my wife will all sit down and we'll listen and we'll see what's happening. I'm serious.
I would appreciate that.
I will.
Thank you.
I'm happy to do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Yes, sir. Come on up. Nice to see you again.
I see you. Joe Lopez, 7130 Venetian Way. I noticed there's a resolution for I think it's a grant for the Pine Tree Bridge. I'm just curious as if maybe it was covered in a previous town council meeting and I haven't found an easy way to go back and search. Is there any description of the project or the impact or what we're doing on the bridge? Just curious as
We'll send that over to Mr. Clark. Right now, they're making us do an asbestos test on concrete.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Total removal and replacement of the bridge.
Okay. Is
Or-
there a website that details any information on it or is it?
We're happy for you to come in and take a look at the drawings. We can't put them on the website because they're not ADA compliant.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, and Jen's coming up. Come on up.
There you go. Your neighbor on Pine Tree. I got your mail this morning. I brought it. Yeah, hi, Jennifer Chanowski, 7130 Pine Tree Lane. So it's my understanding we're approving this resolution for the state revolving fund. So this money that we can borrow, but we don't have to take. So I guess my question to the council, because it seems like there's a lot of actions and efforts being put in place, like going back to what Dan said, there's a domino effect, or all the dominoes have to fall into place. So it seems like the town is like stacking up all these dominoes to put them in place to where eventually we're going to tip them over and the outcome is going to be septic to sewer. So, and I can see that with like all, is this on?
You're on.
Oh, I can,
Is your green light on there?
no.
Push, hit the button.
It's on.
Yeah,
There.
it's very sensitive.
Oh,
But
is that,
think
I
you're
can't tell, okay. So I see it in all this is so weird. I see it in all the spending that we're doing. So like over the last, I think, 7 years, it looks like you guys have spent over $1.1 million just in the planning and designing of the sewer system. So I have a hard time, I guess, justifying the spending that much money and continuing on to this path where septic to sewer seems like your end goal, but then everyone's being told like you haven't really decided on it.
Well, that's because nothing has been decided. And like I said last month, we are forming a plan. The DEP notified us we're an impaired water body, then they took it away. And then we're telling us in your thing that you got, if you continued on, it said it would improve water quality. So what our stance is right now is all we're doing is forming a plan so that if that domino does fall, we're prepared. So we're hoping for the best and we're planning for the worst.
Yeah.
Because everybody sitting up here, except for Mr. Maples, would have to pay for it because he's on the North Service side, so he wouldn't be included in that. So we all have to pay too. So we are looking for the best possible avenue. And yeah, it's taken 7 years, 7 long years of a lot of hard work. And look at where we're at. We're still not in a good position in my eyes. And I thought this last visit that we made with every and all of the meetings that we took from the Republican side, from the Democratic side, I had the best feeling ever in the 13 years that I've been going up there that, oh my gosh, we might have something now. And I don't think we're in the running for the whole thing. Are we, gentlemen?
What are you talking about? Your visit to Tallahassee?
Where, yeah, we're talking about the visit with the senators and the people who, people here, we're all on a fixed income, in my opinion, especially when it comes to spending that kind of money. But it seems like the people in Tallahassee feel like they don't want to give money to neighborhoods that they feel like have money. That's the sense I get.
Sure.
So there may be a lot of people that don't have money, but those super majority up there, I don't think they see it like that because they're not even giving us a crumb really at the end of the day.
So yes, let's like revisit that. So we're on this path because we feel at one point we were being told the state was mandating us to put septic to sewer in. And I think it's like maybe the common opinion, like we all realize that that's not true because we've spoken to the DEP and they've never once.
I don't remember
required
that statement being made. I remember the statement being made that we could be mandated to do it and we should be ready.
Yeah, so we haven't been mandated.
No, we have not.
So then it's like, all right, we're going to put this plan into place and we'll have this plan ready should we be mandated. So that was like the narrative for a little while. So now the narrative is we want to make sure we have the funding in place should we be mandated, on and on and on. So I can give you again, if you'd like, the email. So the DEP is not requiring us to do anything.
I've seen the email.
Okay, so the DEP hasn't required anyone to put sewers in since like I think 1999 with down in the Keys, and that had to do a lot more with obviously their geographical situation, very skinny islands, all these things. So is there like some other conversation or some sort of
Tell me
something I'm missing from the DEP?
what would you like to talk about?
Well, I don't think
You got the floor.
how do you think the DEP is going to eventually mandate us to do this? We're spending all this money, but you're saying that might
I think that water quality, water quantity, as the population grows in Florida, is going to be a #1 priority for the state legislature. And I think it's going to come down to neighborhoods that are on water. That's where they're going to start. When we were in Tallahassee, they had one on there that there were 1,600 homes being converted. I can't remember exactly where it was because we were getting ready to go and everything like that. So once again, the state agencies at their whim can do whatever they want. And I've been going up there for all of these years, and I'm just telling you, so don't shoot the messenger, the feeling that I get. And the feeling that I get is pretty convincing that they can do whatever they want.
So yeah, it's not really about feelings, but just like getting into facts. So I know there are places in Florida, because I've really looked into this, that have been issued, like you have to switch over to sewer, or you have to do some sort of remediation, or these very expensive like components that you put on the septic tanks, because you have to like control what's coming out of them, because you know things that come out of them go down through the effluents. And those places are all in like central Florida, and places that are above aquifers, like spring water, like like the water table, the things that we're going to be drinking. So that I understand is important, but I can't find any evidence of that happening here.
So can I
We don't
ask you
have
a
that
question?
situation.
What is your opposition to having a plan? Is there an opposition, or you just feel like it's wasted money?
I'm going to be honest.
I hope you are. I'm being honest with you.
I don't feel strongly that it's that we want to plan it and we want to have a plan in place, should they or if they. What it seems like, again, it's like the dominoes are getting stacked. So you guys have every single thing leading up to putting sewer in, and that you're going to just topple them all over with like the next resolution, and the town is not going to give residents a vote.
Well, I think we've said when we've had the funding that's when the real discussions will then begin.
So then
And
everyone up here is in agreement for a resident vote?
I don't know. We haven't even voted. I don't know what
We
these
have a
guys are
motion
thinking.
to just see if.
I do know this. I do know that Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Shahov and Mr. Rodriguez and myself would be part of the 702 homes. I do know that.
So can we does someone want to make a motion to allow the residents of Lake Rock Shores to have a vote on septic to sewer?
How are we going to let the residents do it when Mr. Maples' community has no say in the game?
Okay, let me add a
have no
note
say in the
there.
game.
On the north side, when we go into different phases, the
Excuse me, I have
traffic.
the floor, Mr. Maples.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
Okay.
I will give you your opportunity.
I
All you gotta
appreciate
do
that.
is
Thank
ask.
you. Thank you.
That's all. Okay, so I don't see a vote really, but if you want to go to the Office of Elections as a citizen, you can do that. You can try and lobby it to get that and pay to have it put on there and get the language written. And then you'll find out that that's how that game works. You'll find out that the 702 homes that are being affected would be the ones that would vote. I don't know how they would do that. I don't know. I don't run the Office of Elections.
Yeah,
So-
you're telling me to go to the Office of Elections and then I can ask them to give our town a referendum vote?
You can find out how you would have, the estates already have sewers. The Wellesley already has sewers. I think Barbados already has sewers, correct? It has a sewer line that's available for hookup. Didn't we run sewer in here? That's from the backside over there?
Correct.
Okay, so then Barbados would be included. So the places that already have it, the north section has the ability to connect. Anything that's west of Clark, that's the county?
Not
You
every.
said there's one little
west of
stretch?
Clark, but most everything that's west.
And
of
east of
Clark.
there.
So if this board wanted to make a motion to give residents a vote on septic to sewer, I feel like town staff would like have to go seek that out. You know, if you guys really feel like.
Well,
you're
so
really
what
getting
we-
your ducks in a row and.
So what we
planning
need to,
for the
what we
what
need to
if.
do is
So do you
go to
wanna
the
hear what
supervisor
residents-
of elections. I've been listening to what the residents have to say. Is your only opposition is that you don't want to pay for it? Or,
My only opposition is like the manner in which it's being directed. So we're
so what would be the other manner other than a vote that,
a vote, a vote because you're asking town taxpayers.
all right,
to
I'll
fund
be
the
willing
town.
to say, I'll be happy to say, if the Office of Elections will approve 702 homes to vote, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah.
702 homes that are affected, no one else.
Why are you saying that though? We live in a
Because that's the
democracy.
only one. Why should anybody else get to vote on my status and where I'm gonna,
Because-
what I'm gonna have to pay? Because when they did it the first time, what happened was that it wasn't done correctly because I don't think anybody really knew.
What
I
do
don't
you
think Joanne Hatton knew. I don't know if it ever came about that it was discussed that there was only 702 homes affected. It got voted down overwhelmingly, and 3 of the locations that were allowed to vote already are covered.
Mhm. Well,
So why should somebody in Wellesley and the States have a say on, so my perspective, Jen, is that as a guy who's on a limited income, that I could have had this for $10,000, 15, let's just say 15 years ago. Now, whatever number you guys were putting out there, which I heard you said 25, that's fine. I'm now $15,000 over from where I could have had it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That's like not good business in my eyes, but if they will allow 702 homes to vote, I don't think there would be an opposition.
Okay, so like let's just take your idea of 702 homes only.
That's not an idea. That's a fact of matter.
No, if you want the residents to vote on it, you would just say it, and then, everyone in our district. But here's an example. Wellesley votes in our community, they have an HOA. So
Right.
do the estates, but they're not discluded in like the government and democracy and everything that flows with free election, just because they have their own other governing documents. They fall within our purview because they pay taxes. We all pay taxes. Even
Right.
the people
That's
that,
the beauty of a homeowners
even the
association.
people like Mr. Maples that aren't going to be affected by that specific
Right.
project. That project is one of many of an umbrella of things that fall under taxpayers' funds and how they're being allocated. And that's what you guys do up here. You set what policies and procedures up here.
The sewers, well,
You can't really say like, you're almost setting me up to fail because you're probably certain that she's not going to allow only 700.
I'm not certain of anything because I've never looked into it. All I'm doing is forming a plan. All we've been doing is forming a plan,
But you kind of
doing what we were advised by the experts, and we go from there.
So all right, let's go to that. So the DEP said that they would really like to see you guys.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think it's important to note that public comment is not public debate. And I think that the debate between you, the council, and the citizens should not be allowed. And we need to go back to public comment and then response to the comment.
I'll sit. I would love to see you guys have a motion for us to have a vote as a community, as residents, because we're all in this together, because we're all taxpayers and we all want to be a community.
We'll direct staff to contact the Office of Elections and see what the procedure is.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That sounds
Good?
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have a moment to speak. Thank you.
You'll get yours under council comments, or this is not debate, so she has.
This is not a debate.
What
I
would you like
appreciate
to
that.
say? Yes, sir.
First, I am in this town, and absolutely, as I sit here on this dais, I represent the town of Lake Clark Shores, not just the north, not just the south. So for you to continue to isolate me over here saying that Mr. Maples doesn't have to pay for it, that's inappropriate. Number one. Number two, I pay taxes. Number three, when the phases come to the north side, the direction of traffic and the flow of how things go, I won't be able to get to my house the same way that I do every single day. That disturbs me as a resident of this town.
That's an assumption.
Allow me to finish as you asked.
Assumption.
You allow me to finish as you asked to be finished on your side. So with that being said, I represent this town. So if there's an issue coming before this town, whether or not I pay money, have to pay for it or not, I still get input because that's what I have been elected by the residents of this town to do up here on this dais. So please, I ask you stop isolating me because that's inappropriate.
Work County. Any other comments, please? Order. Any other comments? Come on up, Bernadette.
Hi, everyone. Before I get started with what I want to say, I want to apologize for last month when I complimenting the council and the police department for making us the town that we are today. I terribly and unfortunately neglected to include staff and utilities department in there because they are truly, with all of you guys, help us make the town that we are today, the town that we like to call home. So I want to, that was my first thing, I had to say that before I forgot. So I want to applaud you guys for the composure that you have had during the last campaign. I think that our residents don't know who you are. I think that when it was said that there was lack of diversity, that they saw only your professions. And to tell you the truth, none of you ever ran on your profession. I never had, if I didn't know you guys personally, I wouldn't even know what you do. I would never know that you were an attorney, pest control. And I don't think that people know that you guys are self-employed. You're self-employed. So not only do you have your salaries to contend with or your families to make livings for, but you also have multiple employees that you have on your payroll. Sometimes you have to pay them before you pay yourselves. So that's the character of councilman that I am so happy to say that we are a part of. So Greg, I'm gonna go to you first. You are married with 6 children. You have 8, possibly more grandchildren by now. I know of 8. I'm hoping one day to catch up to you. I hope Paul and Danielle are listening. You're a self-employed owner of a pest control company. You are an athletic sports referee, avid boater and fisherman, faithful volunteer to several churches, as well as the Diocese of Palm Beach County. Started the fishing camp for our kids. Here on several environmental and water boards to try and preserve our little slice of paradise we call home. There's probably more that, that's all I immediately know of.
Thank you.
Sorry. Val, you're married with 5 children and 1 grand, and I'm sure many more to come. You're self-employed criminal defense attorney, goes on missionary work to disadvantaged countries to help make their life a little easier. Started movie nights. You orchestrates the kids zone every year for the barbecue. And you're an avid tennis player, a member of the Lake Park Shores tennis team. And I'm sure there's more that you do in your life than I'm even aware of. Bobby, unfortunately, I know very little about you other than you're married and have 2 children, and you're an excellent DJ because you would come to our homes and make our parties even better when our kids are little. So I know that there is way more that you do in your life than just be an attorney. Bob, and I know way more about him than most of you do, as you should imagine. So he is married to me, and we have 2 children and 6 grands, and I'm hoping for more. He is, wait a minute, what did I put down here? Oh, you're self-employed family law attorney. So again, he has employees that he has to pay as well as, us. You're co-owner of a mobile catering company, adjunct professor at the Palm Beach State College for over 40 years, recently elected as chairman of the board for the Legal Aid Society, on several boards that serve the sick and the poor, faithful servant to his church, started the annual the town barbecue, encouraged the town to increase funding to our emergency fund, was instrumental in getting the sound wall on I-95 when others had been told it could not be done. Now, residents of Venetian and others along the I-95 corridor that span far beyond our city limits have this council to thank for that. This was done as a direct request from our residents and has resulted in a better quality of life for those residents. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading, so the glasses have to come on. All right, and for Paul, the immediate past mayor. I can't even read this. He works for one of the largest plaintiff firms in Palm Beach County. So if you ever need help, just give him a call. He is, prior to becoming a lawyer, he was a realtor, worked in finance, made investments in 2 startup companies, co-owner of a mobile catering company, brought the food truck event to Lake Park Shores, started a nonprofit to help Cancer Alliance, which help men going through cancer with basic living needs. I'm most proud of that because he has certainly followed in our footsteps of reaching out in the community. Suggested upon some residents' request that we look into having a pickleball court. Funds have been secured and courts should be ready soon. After speed humps was brought before the council, Paul requested a traffic study be done to inform the council on the best way to approach keeping us safe. Paul with council has worked diligently to keep Lake Park Shores ahead of the game when it comes to working on our impaired waterways. The work being done on this highly contentious subject is to ensure that we are in the best position to request state funding. So, gentlemen, I would say that you are a very diverse group of public servants who have served us extremely well. And I am very proud to have you represent us on the town of Lake Park Shores. Mr. Maples, welcome. I welcome you to this esteemed board of loyal, faithful public servants. I think that they have been very transparent in their conversations with us. I think that they show a lot of respect and listen to our residents. I think that we are very well served by all of them and hope that we continue to be so. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up. How you doing tonight, Jeff?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm doing fine. Jeff Shane, 8121 Painter Lane. Couple of quick comments. Number one, welcome. I do appreciate the fact that you guys are taking proactive steps in setting us up for fiduciary responsibilities of having money if money is needed in the future and doing so at no cost unless it's needed to be used. So I appreciate that. And I know people are on different sides of the aisle on this, so I just want everybody to remember what the pastor said about doing so in unity during these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up, Ashok.
My name is Ashok Kulkarni, address 8131 Westlake Drive. In the
Good evening.
previous,
Said good evening.
sorry,
I said good evening.
good evening to you. See, Mike, I'm a little confused. Previously, we were discussing about septic and sewer system, 700 homes, right? Am I correct? Those homes are getting water from Palm Springs only. Am I right?
No.
You are one of those that are taking from
No,
Palm
but
Springs.
even the people who will be subject to 700, their
No.
water is not coming from Palm Springs?
No,
Where it is coming from?
only the people that receive the utilities through Lake Clark Shores. The north end gets it from the county, and you folks get it from the Palm Springs. How about the estates? The estates is Palm Springs or us?
Palm Springs.
And how about Wellesley?
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs. So
So
there's
in
only,
other words, 700 homes are not on Palm Springs. Is that right?
correct.
Because some people said they are still on Palm Springs, except the bill comes from the Lake Shores.
Yeah, no, it would only affect the 702
But that
homes
beside the
that have
point.
Lake Clark Shores utilities.
Now, my major concern is that if septic tanks are affecting the lake, okay,
Right?
and 700 homes, we are dealing with it. I'm on Palm Spring water supply.
Right.
Those people, according to this map, they are not included. Am I correct?
Correct.
Isn't that strange that we are in one town, everybody is staying there, people have septic tank, and only we are dealing with 700 homes. So what is going to happen to people who are on Palm Springs?
When they do it, you'll be under their guidance.
But
You'll get your bill from them.
No, that is okay. But your actually system is to take care of Lake La Shore water septic system to the lake. Don't you think you ought to consider entire town, and maybe you ought to work with Palm Springs to coordinate, hey, this is what we are
Well,
doing.
we
it,
can't-
Because when you are going to really construct it, portion of this will be out of the loop. That whole thing doesn't sound right. Basically, let me tell you, I'm an architect and city planner, work with the Palm Beach County for more than 15 years. I never seen anything like that, that one town is there, portion is selected, everything, discussion is going on, some people are taking signature. On the other hand, portion of these people are totally out, and we are still part of the whole community as a Lake La Shore.
Ashok, you and Pana were the ones who lobbied to get Palm Springs water. You did that. You and Pana, your wife, did that.
No,
Yes.
water
you-
supply is okay, but.
That was
septic
previous
sewer
councils
system-
before most of us up here, I think even maybe before Bob. So I agree with you. I don't know how that occurred. I don't know how the north service area got given away or any of that, but it did.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
this is not public discussion.
Public comment. I got your comment. Thank you, Ashok.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy to talk to you
My
about that,
only
but you
last
did that.
question was whether you're coordinating or dealing with Palm Springs at all.
Right.
Are you?
But no, we have nothing that, we can't control Palm Springs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In my discussions, I just want to let everybody vent, talk, say something to us. Good evening.
Good evening, Angelique Contreras. I live outside of the town. Do you need my address or?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
4188 Emerald Vista, Lake Worth, 33461. So first, I want to say to this board, I think decorum is important in Robert's rules. I'm coming from the outside, coming tonight for the first time. And I've gone to plenty county commission meetings. We actually have one of the county commissioners, Michael Barnett, here tonight. And it's disheartening to me to see the residents in Lake Clark Shores, I feel like, be talked down to. So I just wanted to say that. But also, during the election cycle, I noticed discrepancies in the election as well. And I think it's important as a board that this be looked into. So in our state statutes, state statute 105.041, which is form of ballot, and number 2, it's listing of candidates. So in previous elections, in 2020, I believe it was for municipal, or the year that Mr. Gonzalez ran, it wasn't in alphabetical order. And as well as this election cycle, we had the same issue. When we called the supervisor of elections, they said that there was a resolution signed by the town that would direct them on how the ballot is supposed to look. But in that resolution, you do not have any rules on how the ballot would look. And it was not in alphabetical order. It was Paul Shalhoub and then John Maples. Just like in the previous election, when Mr. Shalhoub ran, it was his name first and who he ran against last. And then the next race was Bobby Gonzalez. His name was first, and it was
That was an open
a
seat.
family.
That was an open seat, wasn't it?
It was Daughtry. So that was in alphabetical order, but it wasn't for Shalhoub. So I just want you to look into that so that the going forward elections are following our state statutes for this town and for the elections, that they are in alphabetical order. Now, if you want to vote on it, as a town, you can to make the rules on how your election and how the ballot will be formed, but it has to state that it's not going to follow what our state statutes are. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Thank you. I made a note of it. Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up, Fran. You got one more thing? Come on up.
I've been listening to everybody and I have more questions. Ken. Okay, first of all, the gentleman with the noise issue. I don't know if he was as clear as I think he should be to you guys, because I think it's a simple matter for you guys to fix. If you do a resolution for the town that does the 50 or the 100 feet amplification like the county has, then I think that would solve. He said he didn't care 100 feet because he's 270. You guys have a noise ordinance, but I don't think the noise ordinance speaks to a certain distance, does it? I mean, I don't know the.
I don't know
ordinance. I'd
exactly
have
what
to
the
go- I'd
ordinance
have to go
says,
look at
but
the
there
ordinance.
was something put in place.
Okay, but from what he said, the county has ordinances that have a distance for the amplification to go. So if it's as simple as that, I know you guys are good with it.
We have something in place.
For the distance.
I'm pretty
of the
sure there's
noise.
an ordinance, Dan, isn't there? Didn't we put something in there for noise ordinance
For distance is what?
for distance or
I believe that it says property line,
property line?
not a specific distance.
I think it does say property.
Because maybe that one needs to be updated. The other thing is I have a couple of questions hearing these other people. How many homes are there in the town, please?
1,600 or thereabouts?
1402.
1402?
1402. Okay. And how many of them are already on sewer?
That I don't know.
702 minus 259.
Well, the north service area, there's a bunch of homes over there.
702 minus 259.
702 minus 259.
259.
Got that?
I've got that. Okay. Because what I'm trying to, in listening to these things, what I'm trying to figure out is how many of the homes are still going to be dumping into the lake if the 702 get the sewer.
259.
259 or the number that are still going to be dumping into, well, that doesn't add up to 1402.
That's because
There's 702
Wellesley,
homes.
the estates already have it.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. How many already have sewer?
I don't know that, but if you take 702,
And 259 from 1402.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
There you
I
go.
am
You
good.
got it. Okay, anybody else? No? Okay, very good. We'll move on.
Anything online?
Status reports. Chief Adams, we're going to start with you. How are you this evening?
Quite well. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Tracy Adams, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue District Chief that serves your area here. I just wanted to thank everybody for having us at the barbecue. We had our ladder truck hang our big, beautiful American flag, and we also had public education department there with a tent, passing out a lot of materials and goodies for the kids. And we had crews come in and out of here, and we really enjoyed the food and the camaraderie. You have a lovely, lovely neighborhood here and lovely citizens. Thank you very much for having us. I pulled the numbers for last month, and quite surprised to see in March, there was 42 calls in Lake Clark Shores. And I was like, wow, we normally don't run that much. So I looked at February and January, and as well, it was about half the amount. So I don't know why the doubling of calls in March, but March had 42 calls, 35 of them being medical, the rest being either motor vehicle accidents or assists. February had 20 calls, and January had 28. So there was a little bit of an increase in the call load in March, but we are prepared for you. We just recently graduated approximately 30 new recruits to our force of about 1,400. And we just started a new recruit class, our largest one ever, 45 new recruits that we're putting through that started this Monday, April 10th, that will come out they'll do 12 weeks of vigorous training, all hazard incident training, and they will be out in the field in mid-July. Last month that I was here, I provided you guys with the annual report. I did have to leave because the meeting got a little bit lengthy, such as tonight as well. So I will not review that report tonight. Maybe next I'll get with Dan or Mr. Labello, and maybe next meeting I also have a thumb drive that we can play it overhead as well, and we can look through the report. It's pretty impressive, the fire rescue annual fiscal report from October to October of 2022. That's all I have. Thank you very much for having me. I hope everybody has a safe evening.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Smith, you're up.
Good evening, gentlemen. We have 2 monthly reports. I'm just going to do March. In March, we responded to 557 calls for service. Our average on our 911 emergencies was about 3 minutes. We assisted Lake Clark with reference to 8 calls, some burglaries, armed robberies. The Marine unit was out of service for about 6 weeks. It's back because we used it at the fishing tournament, and it'll be used on the lake cleanup. The month, very, very busy. We had over 12 arrests, DUI. A couple people were arrested that were wanted on warrants out of the county. We had numerous narcotics arrests, street level, and also subject on distribution of cannabis. We took in just under 3 pounds, along with pills and other paraphernalia. The traffic, we did 369 traffic stops. We wrote 327 citations, 57 of them criminal. That's about 4 times what we normally do. So that's up. There was a total of 17 vehicle crashes for the month. The LPR cameras are up and running. We processed through FCIC, NCIC, 182,557 tags through our 7-camera system. During that, stolen cars, stolen plates, suspended license, and also we tracked sex offenders coming in and out of town. 2 officers went to a 40-hour class in speed measurement, that's radar, so we had 2 more people trained. 2 officers got picked by the FBI and were able to do active shooter training with the FBI. We were the only municipality that got to do that, so it was good. Every officer on the police department is trained in active shooting response. We have the 2 schools. The county years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we got with the Palm Beach County fire chiefs, the sheriff, and all the police chiefs got together, and we have a policy on responding to those type of calls. Lieutenant Fisher went to some investigative training on internal affairs. Also some training with the county with the new code inspector. The code inspector wrote 169 code violations, which is up like 120. So he's been out, he's full-time, so he can do it every day, which is good. Also, Lieutenant Fisher and one of the other officers, we executed a search warrant with the assistant of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office on an ongoing investigation with their barefoot pools. They had a dispute, they removed the pump, and the pump didn't belong to them. So we got a search warrant from the county, went to their business, had the Sheriff's Department go with us. We got the pump back and we filed for a warrant for the suspect to remove the pump. We also are investigating a shooting that happened at 1755 Forest Hill Boulevard. It's in the rental areas. We had two people exchange gunfire. We got it on video. We have a suspect and we should be making one arrest. As soon as we get together with the state attorney, we'll have a warrant. We have multiple investigations we just completing. We're waiting for the warrants to finish the investigations on that. And if you have any questions, feel free.
Chief, with the tag reader, is there a way to decipher the increase of traffic due to the closure there on Florida Mango? Do we have any numbers regarding that versus where we were before that? Or is there any way to decipher that?
I think when I checked the last time, it was up a little bit, but it's not as bad as, people complaining.
Not as bad as we thought it was going to be.
Not as bad as you would think it is. A lot of people, a lot of the traffic, if you observe it, is going into the county and coming out on Forest Hill. And a lot of people are avoiding Forest Hill and are going to Southern or to 10th Avenue.
Right. Do we have any questions for the chief from the council? Anybody? No? Good.
Nope.
Mr. Scheck.
My report's included in your agenda packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Scheck?
I do have a question for Mr. Scheck. Mr. Scheck, the workshop that we did in March, I believe it was, on the trailer.
Yes.
Where we? I noticed that in your notes there. Where are we at with that?
I have a preliminary draft based on the comments from that meeting. I have a couple of areas that I had some questions on, which I hope to be able to get with the town administrators on tomorrow and finalize that draft by the end of the week.
Okay, and is that something that we discuss at the next, that you'll bring that new updated code to the council and we can discuss that at the next meeting? Or
That's your decision as to when you want to discuss it, but yes, it could be discussed at the next meeting, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just,
Clark.
Bobby.
that's okay. I'll wait for comment.
Bobby, you had a question?
It's okay. Don't worry. I'll say it in comment.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
okay. Talk to him. I'm sorry. You gotta,
No, I just,
throw a pencil at me, Bobby. Come on now.
I just wanted to acknowledge Charlie. Thank you so much for always being available, returning my phone calls. If if there's ever a question, he's been incredibly responsive. So just wanted to, because I had a couple questions about his report and he was able to answer them. And he's always very, very good two-way communication. So thank you very much for servicing and serving our community.
Thank you, and you're most welcome.
You good?
Good to go.
I apologize.
No, don't worry. It was.
I won't make the same mistake twice.
I don't think
I'm
you
gonna
heard
look
me.
right at you next time. Mr. Clark, you're up, sir.
My report's in the packet. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Clark?
I do have a question for council,
Yes,
if I
sir.
may. As you all know, I am moving. And I have about $10,000 worth of sound equipment. And I would like to sell it to the town of Lake Clark Shores at a discount.
We'll take it if you agree to come back and set it up, or you send Richard to us.
I can't.
Because I've seen that
agree.
done, and that is,
I can't agree to that. But I'm not going to move it to Washington State. So I was thinking 33 cents on the dollar. It would provide you enough equipment to do, this is AV equipment and lighting equipment. It would provide enough equipment for you to
Does it
do
include the
the
trailer?
tree lighting. It does not.
Huh?
It does
No?
not.
Okay, I'm just asking.
It would provide enough enough equipment to do the tree lighting with what the
For
town
tree
has.
lighting?
It would still not be enough to do the barbecue. You'll still have to maintain your relationship with Young Singers.
Does Richard bring additional stuff for the barbecue?
Young Singers brings additional stuff for the
Oh, yeah.
barbecue.
Okay.
So I'm offering that if council wants to spend some time thinking about it, or I do have another offer out there if it puts council in an awkward position to say yes to this. So don't feel obligated, but I wanted to provide you.
Will you be here for the May meeting?
First right of refusal. I will be here for the May.
Can you have an inventory that everyone can look at?
I already have a bill of sale.
You already have it?
I'm happy to email it to everybody.
Email it away and we'll see. Yes.
I just wanted to just quickly acknowledge, and so thank you for making us aware of that. And I don't know if people know this or not, but the majority of the equipment at the barbecue and the tree lighting is your equipment. For years and years and years, you've been gracious enough to set it up. And you know, you've heard a couple times that in my previous life, I was at EJ, and that's how I got through undergrad and law school. So I wanted to acknowledge the amount of work and the amount of equipment that you do have. I think that an inventory would be great. And also in the back of your head, just think for just one event, how much would the town be spending on actually going out and renting some of this stuff? I know that years ago, you know, rentals just for just a handful of speakers was like $1,500 to $2,000 for each event. So just wanted to provide some real world numbers, and those numbers are probably about 10 years delayed, but that's how much it
Expensive
was
stuff, huh?
back in the day. Yeah. So
We'll be happy to entertain it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Clerk? No? Okay, that wraps up the status reports. Council comments. Mr. Maples, you're up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first, I wanted to say thank you to all the residents for being here tonight. I know we got a packed house, there's limited seating. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for those who supported me through my campaign and candidacy for this town council seat. My commitment to you, the residents, is to listen to each one of you, to make sure you've been heard, take good notes, and follow up with you. And if you ever have a question or comment or concern, please feel free to connect with me. I've been getting manila folders about this thick over the last month of things I should know. And I'm reading those, taking notes, and definitely following up with those. So please feel free to drop those by. My daughter come to me, she said, "Daddy, you got another one." So we take them and we file them away, and we download those on the computer. So I have those to be able to revert back to. So that stuff is very helpful. Council, I'm looking forward to working with each one of you. So I'm excited to be here with you, esteemed gentlemen, as was described earlier. So looking forward for that. I do want to entertain a thought here, actually a couple of things to this council. One being, as it's so packed in here today, not a lot of room for everybody to kind of come in here comfortably. We've got people sitting out in the back. And maybe, Joe, this is something for you to see if we can have yourself and Mr. Scheck back up here on the council. I know at one point that's how it was before COVID. And I think moving forward, COVID's going to be a part of all of our lives. But I think it's important too to, you know, I'm big, I'm large. So when I stand up there, my back to everyone, like I literally block the whole entire dais. So it's hard to see, and residents, you know, with your back talking to your neighbors, I think it's important to move that over here. And Joe, it'd be great to have everyone back up here on the dais so we can communicate with the residents and help them, whatever they may be, whatever challenges they're facing there. So I don't know if that's a motion to have the council direct staff to be able to review what's necessary or take the necessary steps to see if we can make that happen. I know we've got some new computer equipment there and all the monitoring. So, you know, I want to see what the council's thoughts are on that. I know we've had a resident recommend that change. And so I wanted to make a motion to the council to make that move here going forward from the next meeting in May.
Charlie, would that be at the discretion of the town manager or? Because I think we went over that before and there is an issue with the computers. So is that, did you?
It
is that
doesn't,
true?
first of all, it doesn't need a motion. It can be done by consensus. And it's a decision that needs to be made between the administration and you, the executive council of the town. And if there's room up there for us, we can move up there. If there isn't, we can stay here or reconfigure the room so that it'll hold more people.
All right, we will
But
talk.
that's typically something that's done through your manager.
We will talk about it and look at the logistics. Because there's going to be a new manager coming in and, you know, you're going to want to put your stamp on things too, and you should have some input on this also. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Are you good to go, Mr. Maples? You're good? Anything else?
Yeah, I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you very much. First, John, welcome. I kind of reiterate what you said. Looking forward to working with you. Looking forward to hearing your ideas. Unfortunately, the way that we have to talk and discuss is now, is during this portion, is during the comment portion. You've heard it a lot. You know, I can't hear what you're thinking if you don't say it, something like that. I think it's an old Lebanese saying. But that's just, you know, it is an awkward way that we have to organize ourselves and discuss, but this is really, really important. So welcome. I wanted to acknowledge Paul's service. You know, he's done so much for our town and very appreciative and had very good leadership for the time that he was on the dais. I know that I don't think anybody on the dais here has put in as many hours as he does. He's put in a lot of hours. I wanted to thank Dan for driving up to Tallahassee and advocating for our town again. I wanted to, I didn't see Saul here, but I wanted to wish him our deepest condolences for his sister passing. 61 years old, years young, that's tough. In that same vein, I wanted to acknowledge the police. You know, nationally, we've had, here locally and nationally, we've had some shootings. And I wanted to take a moment and acknowledge their hard work, to acknowledge the fact that each and every single day that they put on that uniform, they put on that badge, even if it's a simple traffic stop, they're stepping into harm's way potentially. I know that we all at Ford, don't tell anybody, but I've left my car unlocked a few times and luckily nothing has happened. And I think that that's a testament to our town, to our neighbors. I know that growing up, you know, it was very common for folks to just leave their doors wide open here in Lake Clark Shores and just you hear from the back, come on in. So thank you to them. Talking about the barbecue briefly, I wanted to thank staff for their days and days of preparation. It wasn't just a one-day thing. It's the week before. It's checking the playground. It's doing all of the things to make it happen. Also wanted to acknowledge Dan and Beth's years of service. Beth has been leading the food line. That's how she's been able to, or you folks have both been able to get so many residents fed. And I wanted to acknowledge also the viewers in town that they have picked up that responsibility and will be leading the food line. So thank you to them. That noise at the pavilion, it's still an ongoing concern for me. I wanted to remind folks, it is important to make a complaint. It is important to make a report. I know that sometimes they say, well, I've done it 4 times. The police department and the town does run reports, and they utilize the reports to determine hotspots. And I think that that's a really important area that we need to be cognizant of. And thank you. And I'm sorry that it's still going on. I wanted to use that and segue into something that's very important. There's been a lot of changes in Florida state law in the past couple of months and really in the past 30 days. And there's more directives coming from our governor that is limiting our local power. And, you know, the Florida League of Cities, which Lake Clark Shores is a member of, they're all about home rule, right? Make sure that the people that laws affect, that those folks, that the local voices have impact and have the ability to effectuate change. Tomorrow, House Bill 833, this is going to be tomorrow. The House Ways and Means Committee will hear House Bill 833, vacation rentals. This legislation will prohibit reasonable local regulations that were authorized in 2014, including safety regulations and local occupancy limits. Additionally, this legislation limits the registration fee to $50 for one unit and $100 for collective units. It was in the last meeting where I proposed we should have an application fee. We should know where some of these Airbnbs are so that we understand and start to develop an understanding where the problems are, where the hotspots are, where the noise is coming from. But this is going to be a piece of legislation that now Florida wants to limit our ability to limit those types, or at least dictate how they're registered within town. So please reach out to your local representative. I know David Silvers would be happy to hear from you. Senator Bobby Powell would be happy to hear from you. Please make your voices heard. You know, I heard some of the comments about respect and the way some of the comments are being handled. You know, remember that unfortunately, it's not a perfect system. Comments are the ability to comment on what we are thinking or what's in front of us. That isn't your only time to approach us. Please email me, please call us, whatever you got to do. I'm happy to hear from you. I know that Mr. Maples, I haven't gotten any of the manila folders that you've referenced. So by all means, I don't know if you want to give that to Dan so that we can all have the same information and we can all be looking at the same things, because if you think that it's important, I think that it's important for all of us. Briefly rounding out, there's been a lot of impassioned debate and opinions about septic to sewer. And I just wanted to say that how we got here, right? And I want to say this with a big caveat. We don't own the water and we don't own the land under the water in the lake, right? And so years ago, the state of Florida came in and they said, look, the lake is impaired. And so we have a decision as a community, as a town, we have a decision to make. And simply put, there's one of two ways. And if I get this wrong, I apologize, but this is as I understand it. Way number one is to actually have the testing done to the lake, right? Which could expedite what we need to do. And we may find ourselves in a position where we're not prepared for. The second way, which is what the town opted to do, and this precedes me, but that is the way to work with the DEP to say, look, we get it, we understand, what is it that we can do? What is a plan, any plan, that we can address the water quality? And now there's arguments on both sides. Do we now address a body of water that we don't own? Do we address that land underneath the water that we don't own? Or do we make sure that we have our own house in order so that Florida can't point their finger to us? And so I think that a lot of the decision making and a lot of the back and forth, I think that it's prudent to have a plan. I'm not saying that it's a sure shot. It's going to happen. I'm just but one voice. And so I want to be able to see all of the information in front of us. I'd like to look at that and to just acknowledge Jen, you know, in terms of having a vote, there's nothing more that I would like to see happen. However, and I say this with a big caveat, and if I got this wrong, I want to do some legal research on it. But the town council, or years ago, when the utility was split between Palm Springs, and it's confusing because I was confused and I didn't quite understand. But we have some homes on Palm Springs and we have some homes on Lake Clark Shores. And apparently, from what I'm told and from what I understand, that could now present a legal issue, that we have folks that are going to be voting on something that they either don't have an impact on or won't be assessed on. And so I want to make sure that whatever the plan is that it's something that it becomes, that it's fair to everyone. And certainly if it were as easy as us all being on a same unified system, I would agree 100% with you that a vote would be nice. And I think that that's the way that it was years ago. Unfortunately, I'm going to use a funny word, but it's a legal quagmire that we find ourselves in terms of being able to have everyone in our town vote on something that only affects 702 homes. And it's frustrating. And so to address Mr. Kilcarney's concern about working with Palm Springs versus us, look, it's a great idea, but Palm Springs is now 3 years behind Lake Clark Shores, right? If at some point in the future it makes sense to do that, I don't know the legalities of it. I don't know the logistics of it, because there is cost and there's different things to create that system. But keep in mind that they are very far behind us. So I'll stop it there, because this can go on for a long time, but I'm happy to talk to you about it. I'm happy to have a cup of coffee. If you want to meet me over at the Dunkin' Donuts here in Lake Clark Shores, happy to have a cup of coffee with you so we can talk about it. If you know something that I don't know, or if you know something that maybe I have gotten wrong, please stop me, talk to me, call me, email me, or send me an email with some of that additional information, or drop me one of those big fat manila files. So I just wanted to thank everybody for their attention. Thank you very much for being vested in our community, really, because without you guys, our day-to-day wouldn't work. So thank you, and I'll yield my time and stop talking.
Good to go?
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. Well, first of all, John, congratulations. I've known John for a long time and in many different ways, and I'm really excited for you to take this venture. I think I remember trying to convince you many years ago to just get involved with the town. I think you did, and you joined the board. So I'm looking forward to working with you. I think we all need to work together up here. But in that regard, Mayor, you know, I nominated you for mayor today. I just want to give you one piece of my wisdom.
Don't bring COVID back?
Don't bring COVID back, please, because I was mayor during COVID. But worse than that, better than that, let's have a little more organizational audience comments. The reason I say that is I understand Mr. Kanowski and the point she was making and going back and forth, but then it becomes this like debate up here. And then I want to chime in, but I can't. And then this is not a debate. I've looked at every single government in Palm Beach County, and they do not run it this way. They all have generally a 3-minute rule. That's why we have that little clock that says 0. Some of them, like the school district, require it only to be on a particular agenda item. And some of them require it ahead of time, 12 o'clock the day before or something, so that the council members or the board members up there can be ready for the comments. And a lot of them prefer written comments, which is really great because you just give us your comments. But the problem is I think it breaks down when it becomes a category of a bunch of different comments and arguments and debates back and forth. And I think it goes against the protocol that all the other municipalities have. I don't want to say we're like the others, Mayor.
Yep.
But, you know, we are busy here and we've got a lot of people here, and I'd like to bring back the rules and enforce them just so we can move along. But I wanted to also say another comment. The barbecue was amazing. It was great to see community get together. Thank you, Bob and Paul and everybody. Greg, I know you were very sick that day. Bobby, I know you were there helping in the food line. And you kind of were the only one showed up for your shift. So I'm glad you were there. And I want to think that is such a blessing for the town. And the movie night we had, which I couldn't attend because of a funeral I had to deal with, ended up being such a great event with a lot of children, which I remember starting 16 years ago when my kids were babies. But I also want to just tell you about septic to sewer. I am completely open-minded on this. I have not made up my mind, and you know, I dread the day we ever look like Florida Mango, which has been now 6 months. They're doing some major project there. you know, if we have sewer systems put in, it's going to look like that. And it's not going to be nice. I really want to focus on lake cleanup, and I know that's coming up this weekend here.
Yep.
And the lake cleanup is really about the one thing we can do. When we were in Tallahassee last month, I was talking to various representatives about our dilemma, and I kept telling them, you know, so many people are contributing to this lake. The dirt, the muck, everything is coming from these gigantic communities that are way out. I mean, there are people who can get in a boat in Wellington and Royal Palm Beach and come to our lake. And, you know, and because I remember they were talking about how they couldn't wait to be able to get through our lake to the Intracoastal, all the way from Royal Palm Beach. But they are contributing to it. Unfortunately, we happen to be at that part of the cone where it all seems to clog in our lake. And I don't know what we can do. I'm not completely convinced that a septic system or sewer system really helps that lake. Because here we are, we go through this crazy process of getting a sewer system, excuse me, and then the lake gets worse and worse. And I can't imagine it getting better and better, can you? Unless we take some proactive approaches to our Western community. And that's why if you have contacts with the county commission, please tell them we need to work on everybody else upstream that's sending pollution down to us, because that bottle of water that comes through our town probably originated in Wellington or someone's backyard in Royal Palm Beach. If you could trace a bottle, I feel like going over there and putting a bottle with something in it, and then 3 weeks later find it in our lake. Okay, you're the one who contributed to the pollution, and it's just hard to tell how it makes it here. That's the way canal systems work. So I commend Dan Clark as an engineer that he was to try to get this together and really get us prepared in the event we can do it, because I think preparation is very important. But I've never been like, oh yeah, just sign here and I'm going to agree to it. And I'm really glad that all the citizens in the last couple of years have come up and talked, because hey, this is what democracy is about. It was my major in college, and I learned all about Federalist Papers and the way we look at things, and to Tocqueville's democracy. And hey, I'm glad everyone's here. I love to have this room filled up. And I'm glad you're here too, because you had a mission and you wanted to do it. And it's the democratic way. And you won an election fair and square. Who brought up the issue about the names? Yeah, we need to figure out the name issue on the ballots, because I looked at the statute. It looks like we weren't following the statute. I don't think anyone up here or any in our town did that on purpose. I think it was a problem with the supervisor of elections, and we obviously need to get that ready, fixed for the next one. Because there's no actual, apparently the statute says it's supposed to be in alphabetical order. But either way, luckily it wasn't an issue. The final thing I wanted to say is, Greg, thank you for taking on this journey. I know it's not going to be easy as mayor. You've done it a couple times. I've done it a couple times. Bob's done it a couple times. Bobby, you're not ready for it, thank God. You're not ready for it, thank God. But as mayor, I just want to thank you, because I understand you're the voice, and I really appreciate Greg, because Greg is probably one of the easiest persons to talk to, return calls, and but we all are. And I promise you, if you send us an email, we read it on our town website, and we try to respond where we can. The problem is we all run our own businesses, and I'm just not going to lie and say I have every minute of the day to give to the town volunteer work. I try to do as much as we can, but all of us up here know that, you know, we have to also feed families, and I got 3 kids in college. So, and, you know, grandkids. So I just want to say thank you again for being willing to be up here. I want us to be unified. I don't want this to be a bumpy start, but I knew maybe it was going to be. But that's okay, because I think everyone up here has the right intent to represent the town. And when we say represent the town, we don't just represent you all in here, just so you know. You're a very small portion of the town. We're glad you're here, but you are a very small portion of our town. We really need to represent the entire town. And that's a tough goal, and that's a tough thing to understand and learn, you know, just because of the limited resources. But encourage your friends to come, write notes, write messages. I mean, just get involved with us. All of you who got involved in the barbecue, thank you. I saw a lot of people there. Town events and community events are that. Now I want to end with George. George, as you got up here tonight and talked about this, you've called me so many times, we've talked. Every time you called me, I was somewhere else in the country, but I would listen to it. You know, one idea I have, and this may be crazy to even say it in public, but you know, we put a sound barrier wall up on I-95, which Bob worked hard to do. And I've always wondered whether maybe some sort of a sound barrier wall, because I was researching it as you were talking about outdoor sound barriers, that and combined with more enforcement might give you the relief and some of your neighbors the relief you need. Because in fact, what's happening is the use of our pavilion is intruding on your backyard and into your yard, and probably your neighbors as well. You seem to enjoy your backyard maybe than your neighbors, more than your neighbors, or whatever it is. But maybe there's a solution that's a combination of a wall. There's sound walls that can be built. Maybe you even look really nice and kind of give you a nice view and the town a nice view. But something that our engineer Dan Clark probably would know about in 10 minutes when he did research, some idea to do that and then to have more enforcement of the rules. I know Wes will send his officers out. Dr. Manick, I know you've been out before to deal with sound violations. It's, you know, one of the strangest things to deal with because constitutionally it creates problems. Enforcement are problems. What's loud now, I mean, may not be loud tomorrow. Sometimes I remember Wayne Acres Ford, I could hear everything being said by the someone you got to call line 6. At certain times of the day, Wayne Acre Ford, I could pick up exactly what's being said because of the way the wind would blow. Fran, you know this because you live right next to me. You would hear every single thing being said on the loudspeaker at Wayne Acres Ford. It's bizarre. I don't get it. Sometimes I'll hear a car squeaking on I-95 late at night just because of the way the wind's blowing. So, you know, crazy things like that. So I want to help you, George. I mean, you say I know you're 50 years old, but you've been back and forth. No, I'm kidding. You've been back and forth for 60 years in our town. I appreciate that because it's residents like you who deserve our attention and to come up with a creative solution for a problem. And particularly if it's commercial businesses coming in and playing loud music. I won't lie to you. We play tennis, we play music. We put the speaker away from you. We do it this way, but at tennis, it can't be loud anyway, because you have to be able to hear what's being said. Okay. I get it. At parties, people are drinking, and the louder the better, because, you know, the Gonzaleses over there like loud music. I can only say it because I'm a Rodriguez, right? And so us Hispanics like loud music or whoever it happens to be. And the louder, the better sometimes, but it's really not fair to you. And I want to work with you. So I didn't forget about you. I'm glad you brought it up. Let's think of some creative solutions, even if it requires a wall or something. Or maybe we start making the people renting the pavilion chip in toward the wall fund to put up a wall to keep it back. I mean, we could come up with all sorts of creative ways to make it palatable for them to be able to play a certain level of music, but for you to enjoy the backyard that you've had for so many years. Sorry, I talked so much, but I just wanted to get that out.
No, this is our time to talk. I don't have anywhere to be till tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
I haven't had dinner.
Mr. Mayor,
That's all I have. Thank you.
since the folks online couldn't see me, let the record reflect that I was smiling and laughing at Val's joke.
Are you good?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Shahoob, you're up.
Well, I have a unique thought. I think that we've looked into with the issue with regard to the sounds of the pavilion. A very unique solution is there's no amplified music. We don't have to spend money on a study or spend money on a sound wall. And I think we've looked into that, Joe and Dan. So if we could have staff's recommendation and circle back with us, I would appreciate it. Number 2, the traffic study, if we could have a status on that, just give us an update as to when we can have something back on that. Because I know there were some issues with regard to a speed hump or what do you call it, Charlie? Hump, bump?
Speed table.
Speed table. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Ashok, on the issues that you have at all, I think it's controlled by the service areas of the utilities. And I think that's the key. I think Dan could probably educate you a little bit better on that. With regard to the trailer ordinance, let's go ahead and pace it, give it to us so we can give you some initial feedback, and then maybe in 2 months from now or 60 days from now, we can put it into final form. But I know we have to vet that issue with all of the other residents, because I don't know what the other council members have to say about that, and I want to be guided by that. Next thing is Clement Brandenburg Jr., CPA. I acknowledge receipt of this. I'll turn this of your registered letter. Thank you very much. I'll turn that over to the town. That's a public record, so we want to make sure that all documents that are provided to every member of the council is generated back to the town for record keeping to comply with the public records request. The next issue, the barbecue. Wow, what an event. Thank you so very, very much for everybody. I've seen people next to me that I hadn't seen in a while. And I want just to appreciate a simple acknowledgement. Do you know how many non-residents came to the barbecue and volunteered? They don't live here. And they were right next to us working and sweating. And they just take possession and they take pride in the community event. And I heard some people saying, why do we have it? We have it because it's the biggest public relations event of South Florida for a little municipality like this. It's amazing. Figure that approximately one third of the population benefits from this. The bragging rights go all the way to Tallahassee. We were up there. They wanted to know when we were having it. And then when we told them we were having it, they looked at us and say, well, why are you having it in session? I can't go. So, you know, we do the best we can. I know that Fire Rescue enjoyed the additional food that we provided for them, and their volunteers were great. I wanted to make sure that staff is acknowledged, the utility guys. I mean, to tell you, these utility guys are phenomenal. And you're right. The work goes into it. And then the work goes into it a week afterward because they have to break it all down. So I'm just so thankful that it's been embraced, accepted by all of the residents and their friends and families to make this truly the highlight of this little small community. I wanted to bring up the short-term rental bill, but you took that thunder away from me. I just want you to appreciate it's all about home rule, and what the Florida legislature wants to do is to usurp our ability to regulate these units. They want to aspect of it. They want to place enforcement measures to suspend or revoke licenses. They're only, it's an arbitrary registration fee of $50, but the responsibility goes to the professional business regulation. Is that it, right? Am I right, Joe? The Department of Business and Professional Regulation. It costs more to comply with the inspection that the $50 fee is being allocated. So now we have to come in, and it's going to be another burden on. I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Form 6, it looks like it's one more time. No, it goes to committee.
Yes.
It goes to committee. But I want everybody to appreciate Form 6 versus Form 1, which is public disclosure. That looks like it's going to pass. And what do I mean by that? Every elected municipal official is going to have to file a more detailed financial disclosure statement. Rather than saying I have money in Wells Fargo, now you get to see that I have stock in AT&T and IBM, and then you get to know the balance on my credit cards. Why? Because they think that the more transparency we have, the less likely we are to vote in conflict of interest. But guess who's exempted by that? Congratulations, Mr. Lobello.
Only in the Senate.
It's still in the house.
So anyhow, see Bernadette, they're gonna see the balance on the credit card, so no more. No more. All right, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Welcome. Everybody should appreciate that and that's the key. And look forward to moving forward together in lockstep with the best interests of our town. Mr. Mayor, congratulations. Mr. Rodriguez, congratulations. Thank you for the vote of confidence. And I appreciate all that we all do up here, and I appreciate everything that you all do for us down there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Point taken about the discussion. I didn't mean for anything to turn into a debate, but if you, and I don't think I've ever seen a crowd like this in the past 10 or 15 years, this is great. But I'm one of those that allows everybody to talk. If you're not being belligerent and you have really something to say, you should be allowed to talk. There's nothing wrong with it. It's through discussion, we're going to come to grips with what's going to face our community. And there are going to be things coming. Septic to sewer is just one of them. There will be a lot of other items coming down the pike through the state of Florida over time. And it's good that we all get a chance to talk. So, okay. All right. Oh, I have a lot of notes here. I was going to mention the vacation rentals too. You don't just email your state representative and state senator, email them all. Send an email to all of them. Let them know that that's not what we want and that's not how we want. And this is what we would like to see. And it does have some impact. We do have the lake cleanup this Saturday, correct, Mr. Clark? 8 a.m. at the boat ramp. You must register, so please go down there and get a registration form. All of the items that they need for cleanup and a map of our concerns are in there for that also. So that's this Saturday, the 15th. The president of the Florida League of Cities, Mr. Gonzalez, do you know what her tagline is? Common ground. And she handed out coffee cups. There was one right here. So when you say, let's have coffee, let's get on common ground, let's have a discussion about what's happening, try to find solutions. We don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. She is the vice mayor for the city of Port St. Lucie. So that's her tagline, and it's a good thing. So kudos to you. And we can all come to common grounds, I'm sure. It's not that hard. We had the fishing tournament this weekend. It went very well. There were pictures circulating earlier. The fishing was a little slow. It was windy. Water's really dirty right now. They were moving water from the north and from the south, and it was just all churned up, and it was all the way from Lake Ida all the way down through Lake Clark. The water has just got a lot of muck in it right now. So the first place is a combined weight. We do give them a benefit of 5 fish. We're normally only allowed 2. So they do get an exemption, and they're allowed to have 5 fish, have to be turned in alive and released alive in order for it to be a count. First place was 16.50 pounds. Second place was 11.95 pounds. Third place was 11.70 pounds. Fourth was 9.70 pounds, and the big fish was only 4.35. They were all disappointed, but it was still fun. They had a good time. Thank you to all of our sponsors, our donators, all of that. Everybody's listed on the website. We had a TV donated. We had soft coolers. There are a few buckets left in there that for other areas that we may need. So it was a good turnout. There was 19 boats, 21 registered, I believe, 19 fished. So thank you to everybody who participated. It was a good time. Gentlemen, I'm sorry I wasn't there for the barbecue. That's the first one I've ever missed. However, I don't think anybody would want me coughing all over their food and carrying on when you've got the flu. It's not a good thing. They always say stay home, so we did. I think we all know we live in a great place. So as I close, these are not my words, but this is a philosophy that I have tried to live by. Some days are better than others. We all have our good days and our bad days. So some of you may have heard this or be familiar with this, so I'm gonna use it. It's a four-way test of things we think, say, or do. First thing, is it the truth? The second thing, is it fair to all concerned? The third is, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And the fourth is, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So moved. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. See you in a month.
The
Or
Rotary.
hopefully we'll see you Saturday for a lake cleanup.